Namaste Starlights, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Camilla and I am a human. I'm a licensed professional counselor and I'm a certified spiritual coach. So as always, we'll start with breathing here, taking 3 deep breaths just to get us grounded and settle in for today. And so here we go. All right, so the intention for today's video. Today's video is going to be about just life's journey and where our paths may take us, and health, taking care of ourselves, taking care of our bodies. So, and as always, to you, Starlight, may you take care of yourself. May you be well nourished on this journey of life, being spiritual beings, having a human experience. It's not always easy, but we're doing the best we can, and that's the goal. And so, what I wanted to primarily focus on today is alcohol. And so I want to talk about my relationship with alcohol and why I am deciding to abstain from alcohol for now. I say for now because, as mentioned, right, one's journey can change and shift. But for now, on my journey, I find alcohol to no longer have a prevalent place in my life and just have no use for it. So, living in America, alcohol is obviously, it's a thing that's embedded in our culture. And whether it's from social events to just even private affairs or just having a drink or two to ourselves, alcohol is everywhere. Commercials, other advertisements, it's almost hard to escape. And there are reasons why one may choose to abstain from alcohol. So my relationship with alcohol is very complicated one. Well, I won't say very, but if I'm honest, it's never really been the healthiest relationship. So I started primarily drinking when I was in college. I think a lot of us who do end up going to college kind of have a similar experience. College parties, just kind of a more ramped up social life. And that's usually where a lot of us get first introduced to substances like alcohol. So like any budding, young adult, I partook. I went to the parties, I went to the events, and I drank. And at the time, it was fun, and I think it's just rather a rite of passage in a way. Like most of us, I drink too much. On nights where, you just vomit out what you partook in, which looking back on it is not good. But I think once again, it's kind of normalized. Actually, that's a large reason why substance abuse issues in college can go unnoticed, because it's such a normal part of the college culture. So usually, I would abstain during the weekdays, and then during the weekends I would just drink with friends, once again socially. And at first I think it was pretty normal stuff, but I find myself in certain instances where I was turning to alcohol for my emotions. And that was kind of the first red flag, right? I'm stressed. Let me have a drink. I'm sad. Let me have a drink. right? And I mean, once again, with college, it was kind of back and forth here and there, but for me, alcohol kind of turned into escapism, and it was pretty prevalent after college. So after college, this was around the age of like 24, 25, kind of like my mid 20s. And, you know, during that time, I'd gotten out of a bad romantic relationship, and I had to live with my mom. I had to live with her for a little bit, because, you know, the relationship ended, and so I needed a place to stay. And I remember, so when we would go to the store, I would get that big box of wine, right? The box wine. And I remember, like, I would come home from work on certain days. Like, if I didn't have work the next day, I would partake in some glasses of wine to get rid of the stress or take the edge off. And so I was deliberately drinking to kind of get buzzed or intoxicated. Red flag number 2. And I sometimes would just kind of pass out, like just fall asleep and wake up and just kind of be in a bit of a daze, right? And that, when I look back on it now, I see how concerning it was, like being on the couch with a glass of wine and just kind of falling asleep. I think one time I woke up and the glass of wine had like spilled over on the floor, and I had to clean it up off of the floor. And once again, I didn't really look into it that deep because I told myself, well, I'm not doing it on or before days I do work, and you know, everyone has a couple of drinks to take the edge off. But even so, it wasn't a healthy relationship. And I remember being online, and I was in a forum, and I was talking about how, like, I don't even remember what the topic was, but I was talking about how, you know, like I'd like to have a few drinks by myself, like after work or something. And I remember getting berated. People were like, you have a problem. And I remember being defensive, and I was like, no, I don't, like, what? And hindsight's 2020, right? Like, people can have a drink alone and it not be a problem, but in my case it was. I definitely believe that it was, looking back on it. And even now, it's embarrassing. But it's hard to know in the moment, right? Until you look back later on. Then later on, when I was in graduate school, I went through some tough times, and I once again turned to alcohol as a way to cope with the stress and the feelings. And I remember I brought a bottle. It's called like Fahrenheit 99 or something like that. It's a type of cinnamon whiskey. Don't judge. I liked cinnamon whiskey back in the day, and this was like a stronger version of Fireball. And I remember I went through the bottle in a few days, but it was quicker than I usually drank, right? It was quicker than I usually went through a bottle. And that's when I was like, whoa, Camilla, this is concerning. And so I kind of, once again, I stopped and, you know, like abstained from it for a while. You know, but then once again, fast forward, and see, here's the thing with alcohol, right, is that when does it become a problem? I mean, for everyone, it may be subjective. Typically, we think of binge drinking, so drinking like copious amounts, maybe like all day, every day, which I didn't do. I once again drank to deal with my emotions, right? Which is not, it's not healthy. And so once again, when I was in grad school, I finished that bottle, and yeah, I was like, nope. And I kind of continued with that relationship with alcohol up until recently. And I mean, there were times I like to have a glass of wine with dinner, right? And so there are times I can like just drink just to enjoy it. But I realized that it was too much of a slippery slope, I think. So what finally made me decide to stop is that it was New Year's Eve, this past one, right? And I drank, and the way that I acted afterwards, I'm not exactly proud of. And shame is a very heavy emotion. And the opposite of shame is self-compassion. So I'll try to give myself self-compassion about that. But yeah, once again, it was another instance where I kind of drank to deal with my emotions at the time. And I woke up the next morning, and there was once again a lot of stuff going on. But when I thought about alcohol and the role that I played, I was like, no. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to fall into that again, right? So I decided to stop. And so technically January 2nd or January 1st was the last time that I've had something alcoholic to drink. So it's been about a month now. And I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm stopping for now. And I'm just gonna continue to go at this, and see where my journey leads. I'm not saying that, I'll like never in my life have like a glass of wine with dinner or anything like that, but I want to be more mindful and observe more of my relationship with alcohol and how I use it to escape sometimes, right? And it's also part of taking care of my health too. I do have an autoimmune disease, and things like, sugar, and which alcohol does have, and, processed foods and things like that can cause inflammation. So it's kind of a win-win, right? I get to have a better relationship with myself, and I get to take care of my body too. And I mean, alcohol, once again, it's everything in moderation, but it does have effects on the body. And, I want to take care of my body as best as I can too. I like to think alcohol is maybe like it's poison, and it's poisoning me, and it's poisoning my body. And I don't want to do that anymore. So that's pretty much where I'm at now. And once again, I hope to continue along this journey and see wherever it takes me. But I say this to you, Starlight. If you are maybe similar, maybe recognizing you don't have a healthy relationship with a particular substance or all substances, then you can do it. You can do it, whether it's, lower how much you intake, right? I do believe in harm reduction. So, for some people, it can be very easy to say, well, I'm just going to abstain completely. And for some people that works, but for some it doesn't. So harm reduction just kind of goes into what's going to create the least amount of harm. So for me, I decided just to quit drinking entirely. But for some people, maybe once again, it's just being mindful and lowering things down and, doing what's best for you and seeing your body as something to take care of, right? Our body is a vessel for our soul, that once again is just having a human experience. And I already got too much going on. I already have the multiple sclerosis and the chakra-berry tooth, which is a type of muscular dystrophy. But, you know, I don't need to be doing things that are going to make things worse, right? And, you know, even if you don't plan on stopping drinking, that's totally fine too. No judgment. You know, everyone is on their own journey. So I would say, if anything, just kind of examine, what is your relationship with it? Is it good? Do you find you are leaning on it? Maybe when you do feel emotional, it kind of examining that a little bit. You know, I want to be able to build the resilience to handle things without needing that, right? And so, either way, Starlight, wherever you are in your journey, I am proud of you, and I hope you are proud of yourself. And take it one day at a time. It can be difficult, but just take it one day at a time. And in the kind of cycle of stages of change, relapse is part of that too. And it happens. So be kind to yourself. So, thank you for listening to my story, and please share yours too. If you want to drop it in the comments where you're at, you know, if you're thinking about, once again, lowering substance use, abstaining, what your thoughts are, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear where you're at in your journey. So, as always, Starlight, thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Namaste.